All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're doing a high-speed dive into one of the most powerful and transformative periods in American history, the Civil Rights Movement.
From buses to ballots to basic human rights, this is what you absolutely need to know, especially if you're prepping for the GED. We're going to cover the key people, the landmark laws, and the powerful ideas that literally reshaped the entire nation.
So where do you even start with a story this massive? Well, every major movement has a catalyst, right? A spark that lights the fire. For the Civil Rights Movement, that spark wasn't just one single moment, but so many acts of incredible courage against a system of deep, widespread injustice.
To really get it, you have to picture the time. We're in the 1950s, and in many parts of the country, segregation isn't just a social habit, it's the law. We're talking legal discrimination everywhere, from schools to buses. And voter suppression tactics were all about keeping African Americans away from the polls. By the time we hit the 1960s, this struggle, which had been simmering for so long, was just boiling over into a nationwide fight for fundamental rights.
And right in the middle of all this, one quiet but powerful act of defiance sent shockwaves across the country. And no, it wasn't just a random moment. Rosa Parks was a dedicated activist with the NAACP. Her refusal to give up her seat on that segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama, was a strategic challenge to an unjust law. Her arrest? It sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, a massive, year-long protest that proved to the world the incredible power of nonviolent resistance.
Okay, so as the movement starts to gain serious momentum, it's being shaped by these powerful leaders who had really distinct ideas about how to achieve justice. And understanding their philosophies? That's absolutely key.
Here you have the two most prominent voices of the whole era. On one hand, you have Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who became the face of nonviolent civil disobedience. He was all about peaceful protests and integration. On the other hand, there was Malcolm X, who fired up his followers with a powerful message of Black pride, self-determination, and empowerment. He famously argued for achieving equality by any means necessary.
And this just perfectly captures Dr. King's vision. This quote from his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech really says it all. His goal was a fully integrated society where race wasn't a barrier to anything. It's a vision built on unity and our shared humanity.
Now, in sharp contrast, you listen to Malcolm X's words, and you feel this incredible urgency, a demand for respect right now. His focus wasn't on integrating into the system as it was, but on empowering Black communities to build their own power and claim their rights, challenging the very foundation of American society. So you see, two very different roads, but both were headed toward the same destination: justice.
All those protests, the speeches, the marches, all of it created this immense pressure on the U.S. government. They simply had to act. And that brings us to the next critical phase, turning this moral fight for equality into the actual law of the land.
You know, the fight for change really heated up in the courtroom. In 1954, the Supreme Court case Brown versus the Board of Education was a total game changer. The court ruled that separate but equal schools were inherently unequal. This decision basically tore down the legal foundation for school segregation all across America.
A decade later, we get one of the movement's absolute greatest victories in Congress, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This was a sweeping law that outlawed discrimination based on race, religion, or sex in public places like hotels and restaurants, and in hiring. Put simply, it made public discrimination illegal. But the fight wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. Many states were still using all kinds of dirty tricks like literacy tests, poll taxes, and just plain old intimidation to stop African Americans from voting. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 tackled these barriers head-on, giving the federal government the muscle to oversee elections and protect every single citizen's right to vote.
And the impact? It was immediate and absolutely staggering. Just look at this. In Mississippi, a state known for voter suppression, the percentage of registered Black voters leaped from less than 7% before the act to nearly 60% just a few years later. This wasn't just a law. It was a fundamental shift in political power.
So, we've gone through the people, the philosophies, and the laws.
Now, let's tie it all together with what you really need to know, especially for you folks studying for the GED.
So how is this all going to look on test day? Well, the GED wants to see if you understand the core ideas and what they led to. It's actually simpler than you might think.
Here is your two-step plan. First, know the leaders. The GED might show you a quote about dreams and unity. You'll know, that's Martin Luther King Jr. and nonviolence. If it's about any means necessary, you'll think, that's Malcolm X and self-determination. Second, know the laws. Just match them up. Brown v. Board, schools, the Civil Rights Act, public spaces, the Voting Rights Act, the ballot box. Got it?
As we close this out, just think for a second about the incredible courage we've talked about, from the famous leaders to the everyday people who marched for their rights. We'd really love to know which figure from this whole era inspires you the most. Drop their name in the comments below.
Here's the most important thing to remember. The civil rights movement was way more than just a series of events. It was a deep, powerful struggle that forced the United States to look itself in the mirror and finally start living up to its own ideals. It fundamentally changed the nation. If you're proud to know this history, go ahead and hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more explainers like this. Thanks for joining us.